I think there's a lot more understanding of the lacklusterness of the 50th when COVID was a big deal. But ever since Disney is, whether you think this is good or not, they're acting as, COVID doesn't exist anymore. Obviously, we still have the realities of supply and staff shortages, but outside of that, in terms of, distancing, all that stuff, that's gone. And so they kind of don't fully have that excuse anymore. They obviously still have staffing and supply shortage excuses, but even that's going away with the cultural program coming back in a few months. And so
right.
I just don't know how much goodwill is going to last with the lacklusterness of the 50th.
I'm telling you right now, I mean, I'm looking at like TripAdvisor, reviews for some of their hotels and stuff like that. And a lot of people are like, oh, they're using COVID as an excuse to not do this or not do this, not do this. I mean, that sentiment is already out there and it's gaining momentum. We're just going to have to see. It's going to be quite interesting.
And Dre and I were having a conversation when we were doing another recording, and I had brought it up to his attention that Orlando International Airport is now removing all the 50th anniversary props and signs and banners and everything. So I thought it was kind of interesting that, being that the celebration's technically not over yet, but yet the airport's removing it.
Well, it needs to be over. It needs to be over. They can end it in October, the next birthday.
They could have, honestly, I do agree with you with that. I mean, it could have ended after October 1st, just that day, and no one really would have blinked because...
Not me.
It was, honestly, it was like literally a merchandise chaotic day.
That's a really interesting point, George, though, because Karik brought that up on Twitter the other day, like the 50th needs to end, and I retweeted it and got a lot of pushback of people, and rightfully so, bringing up the point that so many people have yet to experience it because they haven't had their summer break yet. And so this summer, there'll be all these newbies going. But the fact that the MCO, which caters to newbies and doesn't cater to locals, is removing the 50th, I mean, obviously they're not partnered with Disney, but that goes to show what the rumblings have to be going on in Orlando, because the locals have had their share of the parks yet. It's the newbies that haven't, unless they made their way over Christmas or spring break. But that doesn't have the draw that summer break does. So that's really
they also might be looking to rebrand their efforts around the openings of these attractions. It's like, hey, experience the 50th with Cosmic Rewind.
Guardian,
kind of thing.
Sure.
And by the way, with my tweet, I was just talking personally. All right, it was never meant to. I totally understand that.
There's hot takes from Kingdakha all over Twitter. Just round people up.
Yeah, there are, and people don't come. They don't fight back. I want them to fight back. I want to talk. I want to discuss it. Disagree with me, please. Somebody disagree with me.
Wow, send those tweets his way.
But it actually is true though, because people that are now going to Walt Disney World, they're really not leaning towards, I'm going for the 50th. No, they're saying, I want to go for Cosmic Rewind. I want to go to Dine In and Space 220. It's not, I want to go down there so I could get the 50th anniversary tumbler like everyone fought over on October 1st.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's nothing really to look forward to the 50th, though. You know what I mean? Like, what are you getting with it? You want to see banners? You want to see the merch? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what can you really say, I'm going down there to see the 50th?
Because honestly, I have to admit it. I was very excited to go to Disneyland's 60th. I was very excited to go, even for Walt Disney World's 40th. I was down there for the 40th anniversary for the D23 Destination D. But for the 50th, I mean, I'm happy just to go to Walt Disney World, period, no matter what the occasion is. But I can't really say that the 50th anniversary is the front runner as to why I'm going in June.
No, you're right, George. We've seen that with past celebrations, that the excitement lasted throughout the party, even after it for Disneyland's 60th. And so it's really interesting to see it. I agree with you, George. I'm not really fully sure what the draw is, and that's not something we've ever really seen before. And they could have capitalized on the revenge travel that we've seen, and they did the opposite. Like they let that down rather than capitalizing on it. So.
And I think Orlando International knows that. I think that's probably why they're jumping on that bandwagon, just to remove everything. Because, again, 50th or, as Dre had mentioned, Cosmic Rewind. I'm sorry, I'd rather go down for Cosmic Rewind whether the 50th was going on or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Kai, you were saying something?
No, I was just going to say their draw, and I kind of like, while you guys were speaking, I was thinking about it. Their draw was their beacon of magic. That's kind of like the only thing that they really had. Especially, it was all centered in front of the Magic Kingdom, the way it sparkled and it lit up, and obviously they showed, especially Epcot, that was, it wasn't really as advertised as much as the castle, but that was kind of like what people wanted to see when you come for like the 50th. It was the way that the castle lit up, the decorations, and then the Epcot and the ball. So I do get that aspect of it. But other than that, to be honest, I think they might keep the Epcot lights after the 50th. Obviously, the decorations.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Caw, because I have a question for all of you. Do you think they removed the overall 50th anniversary because Cosmic Rewind is going to be open to push Epcot's 40th?
Oh, good question.
I don't think so, just because look, historically, like they do Epcot so dirty historically. Like that park gets shafted every chance at every opportunity. I just can't imagine they would push the entire resort milestone for Epcot's 40th. I could be totally wrong. I just don't get. I just don't
like more so like not like a not like to have like a overall like Epcot everything in the airport, but more so even if it's just subtleties to say, hey, the 50th got shafted because of everything that went on, how can we kind of regroup with something for a promotional because Cosmic Rewind is open? So as they are mentioning Cosmic Rewind, it's like, well, it's also going to be Epcot's 40th.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, they could, George. It's a good point. I would normally agree with OG that they wouldn't, but the fact that Epcot has been the biggest benefactor of the 50th, I mean, you have Ratatouille, you're getting Guardians, you have the beacons of light on Spaceship Earth, which is unanimously praised as the best part of the 50th. I mean, unanimously. So yeah, Epcot has really been the biggest benefactor. Obviously, unfortunately, they didn't get Kite Tails, which sucks. But besides that, they've been the biggest benefactor of the 50th. So that could be true.
Can I ask a question though? Have they done that for any other park? Like, have they kind of like advertised that specific park's anniversary in the MCO?
See, I've not really seen that before, and you have to also remember Epcot's still torn up. So how can you celebrate a 40th properly when that park is still kind of in shambles? So I think it's going to be under the 50th banner, and what they'll do for Epcot, we'll get another merchandise line. That's probably what they're going to do. Unfortunately,
one of the big problems I think with the 50th and why it kind of has fallen flat for a lot of fans is that they didn't lean enough into like the nostalgia and like what makes this place so special to so many people. It was very much like a generic Disney kind of event. Like it could be for like, if you didn't know it was the 50th,
it felt like an after hours party. That's what it felt like. It feels like a multiple month long after hours party, where I do agree with you, OG. I think if they would have added more like Roy Disney giving the dedication speech on Main Street, to his brother, and something of that nature, sort of like what they did with Disneyland Forever,
right? Or even have like fireworks that have like Figment and like really celebrate like Walt Disney World, and it doesn't. It celebrates the animated movies, which is cool. That's fine, but it's just there's nothing really there that celebrates the resort.
Exactly that, and they do that. They celebrate the movies on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So like to say back to what George was saying, they could have given Roy's speech in between doing the Beacon of Magic instead of that little song. Like something, it could have been something small just to commemorate or just appreciate where the park came from and from the beginning. But yeah, there's literally no sign of just park appreciation at all within the 50th.
And it's so frustrating too, because they had like 5 years, maybe even more than that, to prepare. I remember hearing about the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World going back, like 2014 or something like that. I mean, it was a long time ago, and they had prepared, and to have it be so lackluster and really be a circumstance of conditions that were outside of their control, but also to for C-suite or executives to not actually, put the full might of the company towards it. It really underwhelming.
Well, if I waited this long for Walt Disney World's 50th, I sure could wait 10 more years for its diamond. Hopefully, they'll be able to do something with that.
I was hoping that they would kind of recover with the 100th anniversary of the company and kind of like just go into that and maybe do a lot of the concepts they were going to do for the 50th, but just use that as the kind of jumping point. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that either.
Yeah, and it's so weird to me because like with Disneyland, they lean into that nostalgia so hard.
So hard.
Like so hard.
Yeah.
And it's like non-existent at Walt Disney World. It's crazy.
It's really a shame. It really is a shame because that park, that resort has so much great history that you can actually pull from. And what people were actually looking for, people had set that date, that reservation of October 1st, 2021, months and months and months in advance. We're holding on to it for dear life, and to have it be so underwhelming. Oh, my goodness. Just, it really is unfortunate.
And it fell at a weird time with the pandy and everything. And there were definitely factors that definitely, minimized it more than it probably would have been, but it's just unfortunate. It really is. It's a big milestone. I mean, I remember Disneyland's 50th. You want to talk, hey George, you want to talk balls to the wall? That was a balls to the wall celebration. Like that was crazy. You couldn't escape it. It was everywhere for 18 months.
Yeah, a big reason why I'm here now, as we learned on one of our previous shows, talking about our stories. And yeah, I mean, it was so big. I still remember it today. So that's the power of some of those, celebrations. That's the power that they can have on fans.